So I think for a lot of people, when they start learning folk music, um, it's because there's this feeling of kind of accessibility and kind of democracy about the whole genre, that you can learn tunes off your favourite fiddle player's album. And yes, sure, there's harder tunes and easier tunes, but it's much more accessible than, say, like the Brahms Violin Concerto or whatever else, which can be really technically virtuosic. Um, so I think a lot of people are drawn to that, and initially you start out and you're learning all these tunes and it feels really great, but then you get to a point where you say to yourself, like, it's not sounding that folky, it's not sounding like it does on the album, why not? And it's because there's this kind of layer of stylistic playing that really you have to apply to whatever tune you're learning, and it takes a little while to get the experience and the knowledge to be able to do that. And that's why I wrote the Fiddle Project book. So we have just here it is, starting with English jigs. But the idea is that with each of the elements you learn, so a couple of ornaments, some bowing, some rhythmic and melodic variations, we go through a series of questions. So you ask kind of, what is it? How do we do it? Where does it tend to go? And that's kind of a guideline rather than rules. And what's the musical effect? And so for each of the things you have a description, videos on how to do it, a model, so have it applied to a tune, and then you're given some guidelines to apply it to one of the tunes at the back of the book. And there's only like 5 tunes, I think, in the book, because there's heaps of tune books, but there aren't many books on how to do style, so it's more of a deep dive. But the idea is that by having these questions and by having this structure, you've then got a framework that you can apply to any tune, any new skill that you learn. If you ask yourself those questions, ask your teacher or your workshop leader any of those questions to make it clearer, and suddenly you have a skill that you can apply to any tune in your repertoire, and you can get that style, you can make it sound like your favourite fiddle player. You also you will start to hear what you're learning in other people's playing, so you get this kind of I don't know, I always feel like it's a bit like kind of drawing the curtain, and suddenly you can see what's going on, because you know what to expect in which place. I've used it with lots of people. I think it really, really works. Just trying to get the word out a bit more, really.